Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farber. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has arrived in Beijing Wednesday with a delegation of nearly 60 British business and cultural leaders, including Airbus, AstraZeneca and HSBC, on the first UK state visit since 2018. Now, Starmer joins a wave of European leaders visiting Beijing this month, including Finnish Prime Minister Petteri Orpo, France's Emmanuel Macron and Germany's Friedrich Merz, highlighting a broader European effort to engage with China amid shifting global dynamics. We're now going to discuss it all further with our guest, Michał Bogusz, Senior Fellow in China Department at the Center for Eastern Studies. Good to have you on TVP World. Welcome.
Thank you for the invitation.
So the Prime Minister has arrived just imminently now. I believe he's just taking those first steps in Beijing. This is a big deal for the UK. What do you think his primary objectives are of this visit? Is this business? Is this political? Is it both? How do you sense it?
It's always politics. Even if politicians talk about business, they think politics. It's very simple. And in this case, he wants to make the impression that UK have the options, that UK can cooperate with China, and that China will be counterbalanced to the unstable presidency of the Donald Trump. And personally, I think he's completely fantasy, but well, as long as he can try to sell this to the electorate in the UK, probably he'll keep trying.
Mm-hmm. All right, but at the same time, I want to share with you a line here that the Prime Minister said on his way en route to China, and it's an interesting one. He said that he wants a comprehensive and consistent approach to China rather than veering from golden age to ice age. So again, let's talk politics. What does that mean concretely, and will he be successful here?
Exactly, what does it mean? Well, this is a good question. It means nothing. Means it sounds good. It's in the face value, when you hear this, it sounds good. It's like, oh yeah, we want to have the comprehensive understanding, relationship, stable. But what does it mean? It means nothing. As long UK and other European partners of China cannot address the big elephant in the room. It means Chinese overproduction, industrial dumping on the European industry, and de facto destroying European industry by overproduction in China. Nothing will change. It will be a lot of talks, and will be only postponing, it will be delaying of the hard decisions which will have to be sooner or later taken on the European side to protect European industry.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I want to dig into that a little bit further. You're saying it means nothing, but at the same time, he's one of several European leaders that have either already been to China. I mean, the Finnish Prime Minister, although a smaller country, nevertheless, also is still there at the moment. You had the Irish there, you have also Macron. The Germans are going as well fairly soon. I mean, do you think there's any sort of coordination, or is there some kind of real, tangible message through all this? Because all these European leaders coming in very quick succession, does that not signify something, let's say, more important?
Well, it's signaling practically that they lost 4 years of the Joe Biden administration to straighten European position, to be able to stand up against Russia, against China, and now they are in the situation in which they are beaten from the three fronts: from China, from Russia, and from the US. And this is the brutal reality which they try to avoid, and they try to at least put in front of the electorate some mirage and fantasy that they can deal with this by counterbalancing Trump with China. It's impossible. In the reality, European elites, I don't mean only EU countries, but also UK, they slip over the last 4 years, or the 4 years of the Biden administration, and they were believing that Trump will never come back, and they will be able to continue politics as before, and now they have to pay price for it. And one of the part of this paying off these prices, these fantasies, and keeping the illusion that they will be able to make some deals with China. Of course, there will be some deals with China. For the very narrow group of the interest groups which are behind them, all this tail of the businessmen going to Beijing, they will sign some contracts. But these contracts are good for the European countries, for the European nations, for the European industry? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. Now, with the UK excluded, if we talk about also other European leaders, EU leaders, and EU trade with China, I mean, that accounts for about 30% of global trade, if we're looking at between the bloc of the EU countries and China. We've had this also meeting last year, this EU-China summit. Not 100% sure when the next one will be. Do you see this as potentially, I mean, rather than dismissing it, is this more of an age of coordinated bilateral efforts here by the Europeans? Is because they can't decide on what China really is? Is this maybe a preparation for some sort of EU summit in other ways, or is this something different?
When you have the 27 countries and you have China have the countries like Spain, Hungary, probably also Slovakia, which one can use as the proxy veto inside the European Union, you have no ability to create coherent EU-wide policy towards China. In the effectively, you have a situation in which one Beijing can use the divide and rule strategy, and apparently the European leaders know this, and each of them trying to gain as much as they can from small gains, to get small gains from this situation.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about small gains. I'm curious your view here. We still have the Prime Minister of Finland in China, also meeting various high-level government, and also we have this interesting statement from him just very recently, and he's apparently said that China's leader, Xi Jinping, wants peace and a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. So I want to get your view on this. And does this mean this small gain might be actually quite a big one if it's true?
Well, it's not true, simply like that. Of course, Xi Jinping will say that he wants peace and everything good for everybody, and let's hold our hands and sing songs. Whatever he says is just simply not true. In the strategic interest of China, peace on Ukraine, which one doesn't end with the Russian victory, is not a good thing. China needs Russia as the Damocles swords hanging over the Europe. So stop to be able to blackmail Europe by using the Russians as their proxy from aiding US in case of the conflict in the Far East. This is the real strategic interest of China. And of course, Xi Jinping will tell whatever he thinks that his European partners want to hear. This is the politics. Let's not be so naive and let's not buy it.
All right. So, I mean, you're harsh on the words of the Prime Minister of Finland there, but nevertheless, I mean, it does carry a certain weight, surely. And if you are, let's say, very strong in your mind of saying this doesn't mean that much, that there's subtext, it's actually different, what then, in your mind, should European leaders do with China? I mean, should they see it as an adversary, as some might suggest? Is it still a partner? What should the European strategy and also the British strategy be vis-a-vis also with Trump in all the mix as well?
Well, I should start maybe from the statement, very important statement from my perspective. Yeah, in the time of the brutal international politics, be able to defend your security and economic interest is the must to have. This is one thing. Second thing, service economies cannot win the wars. Simply like that. To be able to sustain long-time conflict on the big scale, or freak out or to stop this war to happen, you need to have the ability to defend yourself for the long time. To have this, you need the industrial power and industrial backing. Yeah, UK economy is service based. They practically have no industry left. Some this also showing the diminishing of the UK position worldwide. Of course, it's good for the London stocks, for the London city, for the business inside London and around London. They have the very convenient and nice life, but it means that UK as the superpower, it's waning. It's slowly erased from the global stage because doesn't have the military capabilities and industrial backing to sustain long conflict, and everybody knows this. And this is one of the reasons why the UK position around the globe is waning, is disappearing. And if the European Union want to be serious global actor, first need to restrain its position on the military front to be able to defend itself and project its military power around its neighborhood. To have this needs the serious industrial policy, which I will be backing this military power and making this possible to happen. And this is not gonna to happen if they are allowed to its industry destroyed by the dumping overproduction from China. So at the end, it's very simple. You need to be able to stand up against Russia. You have to be able to stand up against China industrial policy. And at the end, you will be able to stand up against Washington and the bully from DC. But look how Trump is looking at the Europe now. They were not able to stand up to Russia. The Belgian Prime Minister talking very tough in the Davos about US, but the same Prime Minister blocked seizure of Russian assets in Europe because he was afraid. So the same guy is saying now that he will be stand up against the US, and when he was not able to stand up against Russia, Europe for last few years were not able to create serious policy towards China industrial policy. And now,
all right, but on industrial policy, I'll have to jump in there now. But
it's not only industrial policy, but it's very important.
It's many facets. You're right. I'm afraid we're going to have to conclude there. Look, really interesting insights, but there's much more to analyze. We'll have to leave that for another day. But thank you for all that on this very, very crucial topic. Michał Bogusz, thank you so much.
Thank you for invitation.
And thank you for watching. It concludes World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more. Goodbye.